installation kit. I had to get 2 of them because of my dimensions. And yeah, I got the fiberglass one. I've been looking online, looking for a way to help insulate the garage, add a little more sound reduction, and apparently the fiberglass ones are the best for the sound reduction in and out, and a bit lighter. A lot of the other ones were much heavier, and I didn't want to put a lot of strain on the garage door. You know, overwork the motor, the springs, and I can't remember how much these weigh, but I think it was like 8 pounds or so, maybe 10, and it's going to be lighter on the garage door because these panels are 22-inch high, 54 wide, 8 pieces in total. Well, my garage door is a bit smaller than that, so probably should have grabbed this before. So even up in here, down is about, down to this lip, about 20 inches and a quarter. Width from side to side, about 46, and 2/16, so I guess that's an 1/8. Don't quote me on that, doing it on the fly. But as we go down further, we notice that that's about 20 and a half, roughly. How much was that? 20 and a half, and then almost 20 inches. So, with that in mind, I don't want to cut all of them at once. I want to measure each individual section. Okay, that's about 20 and a half. So maybe that top one was just off, and then let's see what this bottom one is at. Roughly 20. So these ones are different in height. Let's see, yeah, 20 and 2/16. My bad, 46 and 2/16. The reason why I'm not counting the inside little lip here is because these are 2 1/4 inches thick, and right here I only got 2 inches. Yeah. So about 2 inches here, but because of the design, about 1.75 inches because of Ramyeon. So I have not busted into them yet, but I believe there might be a backing glue material to these things. Peel and stick. So I've already wiped down, my bad, wiped down all these panels in the middle, also the bars here and along the center rods and around the center dividers right here, because I heard online where people said I put them in, I got a little light gust and they blew off, and I'm like, screw this, 1 star. So I got me some ducting tape, actual ducting tape, not the other duct tape. I guess mildew resistant and water resistant. Hopefully as sticky as regular duct tape. And it's nice and thick, y'all. So we got, what is that? Yeah, a little under 3 inches wide. So as you can see here, that's about 3 inches wide. So I can have about 1.5 inch overlap up here. I'll do 1 panel, tape, kind of fold it up, get my next panel in there, slap that tape over, and then retape. So that way I have nice overlap on all the sides, tops, so that way it will hold my insulation material in there much better. Keep that wind when it's up from pulling out.
My earbuds in. That's what one of the rolls look like. I got a set up a cardboard below me. That way I can measure and cut through and not scratch my blade on the cement inside here. So for their size they say a 12 by 12 square. Well, but I see that was 46 inches. Half of that is 23. But that's dead center. So 15. If I go in 13 inches on both sides, that gives me roughly a decent spacing for these clips, so that way it has just about the most even amount of weight distribution on these clips. Alrighty, so I played around with the measurements a little bit, so instead of 13 I'm going with 15. Down. So you can see roughly even across 15 by 15 by 15, technically 15, 15, and then 16 to that corner. But if I'm going from the sides to sides, it's only off by like a quarter of an inch, I think. Half an inch, there we go. So that'll work. Now I just gotta get, oopsie. Gotta find out the center point on here and stick these bad boys. And I got a lot to do, so I'll be back after I get that done. Actually, I guess we'll do the first one and show you. So roughly 10 1/4 is halfway, and then 15 inches across is another spot. So I don't think it has to be exactly perfect, but roughly around there, because we're not cutting or anything. It's just trying to distribute the weight a little bit better. So I'll do that on the next side, and now I gotta do that all the way down this whole thing, and then I can start. So I almost think I wanted to go with the foam panels, because you cut, you pop, and you're done. But I wanted that extra soundproofing, just so I don't bug my neighbors rocking out or cutting stuff in the garage, doing loud shit, and keep it a little cooler in the summer, a little warmer in the winter. So yeah, it should look good once it's all done, I hope. One thing that sort of helped, grab my level, mark from the top down at 10 1/4, as well as up here. And then, boop, bam. So let's speeden up a little bit. If I really wanted to, I could do a string line all the way across, and 2 string lines down and just start marking, but this is fast enough. Well, since I'm not messing with the insulation right now, I thought I'd take off the mask, which I should have done before when I was doing those earlier explanations. So I've been putting the stickies parts on here, giving a good press, make sure they stick well to the clips. And then same with on the door, I've been putting pressure on them for about 30 seconds. Make sure they adhere really well. So what I did not know before, I had to do a little research. There's 2 sets of these, well, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So another 16 of them. So once you get the panels up, which we'll show you later,
I don't know why I'm explaining this right now, but screw it. They'll clip together after you cut a little 1 inch by 1 inch X, push the insulation through, then you put the other side of this clip and snap together. So that's what actually holds it onto the door. So our tape job after will also add to that strength and adherence, whatever one of those 2 or 3 is. But anyway, tape it around. I probably should drink some water. Lost quite a bit. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at now. That's a pain in the ass. And what helped me out, just in case I forgot to mention earlier, made my 15-inch measurements. Yes, 15 from one side, 15 another, 10 1/4, 10 1/4, 10 1/4, 10 1/4, and then lined up here. Whoops, that's the magnetic side. Line, 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 line. And then, because I have my level, able to go up here, across the level, kind of look, boom, boom, and make my marks. Made it much faster doing those quick little lines to guide, and then use my level so I know I'm hitting both points relatively next to each other. So that helped a lot instead of using the tape measure and measuring every little bit. This was very handy to speed up that process. Ran into another interesting situation, noticing while I was putting the clips on that sections of the door panels are coming off of the center rods, whatever the fuck they are. And because the caulk or glue that they used, looks like caulk, is separating. It dried, it lost its stickiness. So after realizing that, what I'm going to have to do is add a new bead going along the inside of these rails, kind of fill, use my caulking tool guide that gives a nice bead on there before I put all these up, because once they're up I don't want to have to take them back down. I don't know how those clips will come apart. They're not supposed to, so I'd have to really get in there and mess stuff up. So in the sake of doing it once right, I'm going to have to pop a bead of caulk on all these seams on the uprights, let it dry a decent amount of time. I got to look at the instructions on it to make sure. And then, so hopefully I can finish tonight. If not, I got to start again tomorrow, even though I got that other project, the fill underneath the walkway project going on. Yeah, so might be finishing tomorrow, which sucks because it's a Sunday. I'd rather chill out, edit some videos, but yeah, I better get on that. So yeah, when you run into things you see, take a breather, pause, and see what you can do now to prevent issues later. So, little tip there. Alrighty, well, I got all my clips on, just caulked the seams. I know it might not be caulk they used, probably glue, but the, where'd it go? This stuff I've used throughout the house and for other projects, the Dynaflex, 230. It's dried pretty solid and very tacky when going up, but then dried solid, good grip, I've noticed. So by filling the voids and popping this stuff in there, it should reseal very nicely. And I realized as well, if I don't let it fully dry while I put this stuff in, that's going to grip on my fiberglass on the underlayer. So that's going to even hold in those inner sides well, and as I'm putting in, it'll help push the caulk in there a little bit more and create that good seal. I will have to be careful not to push too hard because I don't want to make this bow and push the caulk away from the areas. At least it has some springiness to it, so if I do push out, it should come back in and seal. So it's better to do that while it's wet than when it's dry right now. So I guess I'll get to it.
Now I see why they want you to cut them one at a time. They're not all the same length. At least with the fluff makes it a little off, so it's harder to gauge where one starts, one ends, in the proper length, so I have to do them one at a time. Yay! So to make life a little easier, I measure from one end up my 48 inches, make a cut, measure on the bottom 48 inches, make a cut, and I'm going to use my board as a guide so I can get a nice straight cut down because my hand wobbles sometimes when I do this. So that's my method, and it takes a little bit longer, but I'll get better cuts. So I got the first one up with cutting the sides 48. They fit in there pretty nicely. Now I gotta make my cuts and put the new one, or new clips. Not bad. I really wanted to get it super clean. I have to take off the hinges, tape, put them back on. Take off the hinges, tape, put it back on. I'm good off that. Another tip, open up all your packages while you're putting the freaking things on the door so there's plenty of time to expand back to its normal shape.
Alright, welcome back YouTubians and Zeonians to the garage door installation job. So, clock says 1 hour to complete the job. No, not 1 hour. It took about, estimating 2 to 3 hours yesterday and another 2, maybe 3 today. So yeah, if you expect to do this job in an hour, good luck. Mine is a little bit different than the setup that they want to do, where it is pop up these, I'm probably in the wrong angle, these little tabs on the door after measuring, find your locations, stick them up, then you cut and fit your insulation squares because they come long, pop them in, cap them off, and then you're done with that section. Well, since I haven't reviewed the footage yet, so I might be going over multiple things that might show up earlier in the video, so just kind of a recap rundown at the end of the video to go over stuff that I might forget, and I'm tired, so out of my reds, cleaned up, vacuumed up everything. So that is another tip, is keep your doors closed, keep from airflow blowing stuff around, because that insulation will get everywhere. Even though it's on these sheets, it does come off fairly easy, especially when you're cutting with your knife. You want a nice clean blade. Even with the clean blade, I was pulling off chunks of insulation. Thankfully I had my respirator on, so I recommend that wearing a full face respirator, because when you're up against this thing trying to push it in, you never know what's going to come in. If you're not wearing goggles or a mask, you don't want to breathe that stuff in, you don't want it in your eyes. I made sure to vacuum myself, the floor, the surrounding area, anything I touched. I wiped down my extension cable for the camera and the vacuum, and yeah, so don't want that stuff blowing around and sucking it up later. Alright, so I don't know how I feel about this project. I was semi-freestyling a little bit with the extra tape. This stuff seems to be working quite nicely. Oh, I'd also recommend, once this is all up, get a very lightly damp cloth and wipe down these pads, because when they come to you in bags, they're rolled up. So insulation is touching these rear things, so you don't know what little particulates of insulation are going to be on there, fiberglass. So I would wipe them down. I actually have to do that because I just thought of that right before I started touching this sucker. So yeah, I'll be doing that after I finish up this little recap. So also, yeah, I recommend the tape job. Definitely the tape job, because the sides and the tops were not staying in place, and if you roll this thing up, those things are just going to flop right out. The only thing I could really see it working out well is if your frames, whatever these are called, are extended out. Like if you have an inch lip on the sides, tops, and bottoms, you might be able to get away with not having to do the tape job. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's doable. It might work the way that they said. But yeah, for mine, there's not that much lip on the sides, tops, so the tape was a good idea. I'm glad I ordered some. Also, that I think it was a 100-foot roll or 100-yard roll did not fully take care of the job. I actually ran out. I forgot to order some more yesterday, so it would be here today. So I ordered some more, but I didn't want to leave the fiberglass out, so on the last 4 panels I had to use regular duct tape. So one method I used, so I can go back later, was to add a strip along underneath on the white part, kind of a border, and then my duct tape on top of that border. That way, when I'm ready to go back, I can carefully peel off the second layer of duct tape without tearing this up. So when you are applying your tape, make sure you have the white part recessed, so you get your tape on and then let it puff out, because that will happen. Just realized I got a little bit of a tear there, so I'm gonna have to go and tape that up. I'm gonna have to inspect this whole job again, because this white material cuts very easy. And I kind of did that here and there on accident while kind of multitasking and moving the knife around a little bit, and it cuts really easy. So if you do want to go through and do this job, just know you're gonna have to be careful around this stuff, because it tears and cuts easily. So if you bump something in there with a corner, or carrying stuff around, moving around, there's a good chance that you might rip and tear this stuff and have to patch it, and hopefully not rip the whole thing off and have to redo it and then get insulation everywhere. But also, I was kind of tired yesterday as well, because I worked on the other project for several hours, and then I'm like, you know what, I have to wait to go back out there anyway, so I'll start this. So kind of grunting and groaning, not thinking super clear. But with the tape, I found, because I wish I had another strip of it, the insulated tape, or the silver vent tape, insulation tape, has the paper backing, so it's nice to be able to get your length, hold it up there, then just bend the tape so you have a nice cut mark and cut it right there so you know the right length. I try to get a little fancy with these cuts around here. Kind of helped, you know, lay it up, put the tape on one side, fold it up, so now I know my edge, take my X-Acto knife and or box cutter, cut that, then kind of fold it in between, so I get more purchase area on the metal itself, or on the frame. Give it a little more holding in between. I wanted to make sure everything is nice and flat and adheres as much as possible, so that way dirt and stuff doesn't get in between those lifted spots and or moisture, and then cause it to eventually start peeling off by little. What also helped, let's see. So our brain's going all over the place thinking of what to tell you and how to do this to make it easier on your own life. So we got the tape stuff, so I went and did all the corners. Oh, if you have a rubber material on the bottom, kind of like a dust catch or whatever, I did notice that the duct tape does not stick to it at all, or very well. The silver tape, the shiny stuff, sticks decently on all these surfaces. You want to make sure you clean it really well, get all the dirt and oils off so it adheres well. The duct tape did not stick to the rubber at all, so I had to leave that side barren. I did do a strip along the bottom just to hold it in for when I open up the garage door, so that flap doesn't fly out until I can get the new tape and redo this section. I'm gonna have to redo this whole corner, but since we will have to open up the garage door and take out the garbage bins today, I want to make sure once it rolls up, this stuff's not going to fly off. So if they do fly off, I'll of course let you know later. So you can put that in your notes of, do I really want to go this route or go for the solid foam panels? The reason why I went for this one is on the description and what Corning's, I think it's Corning's, forgot to say to the box, say that it does help reduce sound because just like the insulation in your walls, the fiberglass stuff, it is more porous and spongy, so it's supposed to absorb sound more. Whereas just the styrofoam blocks will reduce sound a little bit, but not very much. It's more for thermal dynamics, keep the heat out, keep that penetration. But yeah, would I do it again? That is very hard to say. I am not thrilled with this product. I don't hate it. Time will tell. I gotta do some sound tests, which I might do in a little bit. I should have left a section off, like did half here, half there, went out and knocked on it, and then knocked on the other side, but it will reduce some sound. I was saying before, I believe, memory is not the best sometimes, some kids were playing outside on that side, and I could still hear them really well. I'm like, well, I insulated this, and it's supposed to reduce sound, so why is it still kind of noisy coming through? Well, if you don't have all four corners and the tops and where the vents are, if they're not covered, insulated, etc., you're going to have sound penetration along with heat or cold coming in. What I also learned from others and on their site is to keep it cool in here, you actually have to have a fan. So it's kind of keep the pressure in here to push out the hot stuff while keeping your air in that's cooler. Keep the heat from coming back in, pressurize the room kind of in a sense, and get that airflow to really get that cooling effect, or pop in a nice little swamp cooler and that'll trap the cold air in much better. So keeping those things in mind. What also helped as well at the with the cutting was I had a plank, old plank that was former fence, about yay big, which was nice because I found out also that this section and that section are different lengths. I didn't measure both of them, or at least I didn't remember that there was a difference, and started cutting these ones a little bigger so it was a harder fit, and then realized, oh, I have 2 more inches on this one than that one, so I was kind of trying to fit it in, getting more stuck, but did correct that on these other ones. So using that fence plank is about maybe 6 inches wide, 6 or 7 inches, made it perfect where I could just line up the side of the plank on the side of the fiberglass on the side I'm going to cut, and just cut down there, so I didn't have to keep measuring. Then I also found a board that was half that thickness, which gave me the right dimensions for the the larger panels. So it makes it nice quick cuts instead of measure, cut, measure. So it's easy just to slap down. There we go, got the right size, put it up, next one, and keep going. Yeah, so it was an interesting project, bit tired. I would recommend a sharp blade. You need your foil tape. I get 2 rolls of it. Make sure to clean off everything first. Have a vacuum at hand so you can vacuum up your stuff if you don't want to just do a big vacuum later. You can catch the little fuzzies that pop off on you. Have foil tape, maybe duct tape, What also does help is if you have a really dirty or oily, greasy area, after you clean it, use your duct tape for around the edges and the bottom to kind of test the stickiness. And I found on the back corner that was really handy since there was more grease and dust there, where I was able to just, kind of stick, okay, lost its stickiness, and go until I got good adherence to it, to know that it's going to bond well. Because the duct tape I have is off-brand, I like to use that stuff for where I don't want a good permanent hold, then use the good pro duct tape for, the big projects. So just doing that was really helpful, just getting that extra gunk off, test the stickiness. Yeah. I believe that's it. I mean, I got to go back through the footage, see what I got, what I'm going to keep, what I'm going to take out. Try to find the best tips for all of you out there. It was a long day, so memory's a little fuzzy on what I fully covered. But from this standpoint, I could slightly recommend it. I mean, it looks decent, not horrible, not wonderful, especially if you're having to do the extra tape job, which I would highly recommend if you go this route. Make sure to do the tape. Would be interesting as well, just came to mind, possibly doing tape all the way across, get plenty of it, to where it's just a flat, silver looking color. That'd be kind of cool, look like kind of space age, like a space dome type of deal, instead of having these random rectangular squares. What I might also do is get really lightweight white fabric, maybe painter's cloth, something like that, and cut strips that will fit across each of these sections, so that's just one flat color, one flat texture, one flat look going across, just for aesthetics purposes, to make it look good. I might trap more buggies in there, but that's just a thought that came to mind. Thought I'd share it with you for if you go this route and you're like, I don't like the way it looks. Well, cut some long ass painter's tarps and attach them up there. Either glue, tape it. Got spray glue that you can spray the whole thing and slap it on real nice. But yeah, here it is. I hope you enjoyed the journey with me, and as always, keep creating, keep fabricating, and stay cool. See you on the next one.